Hi guys, welcome back, or if you're new here, welcome to Nikki's Kitchen. In today's video, I'll be showing you how you can use beans to make 3 recipes, that is breakfast, lunch and dinner. And if you stick till the end, I have a bonus dessert recipe. With that said, if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, because I would love to have you as part of this community. With that said, let's get started. For breakfast, we are making bean quesadillas, and in my saucepan I have half an onion finely diced and 2 cloves of garlic and a touch of oil. I'm going to fry this. Add a pinch of salt to help soften the onions and cook them down, and fry the onions until they're fully cooked. And once the onions are cooked, I'm going to add 1.5 cups of beans, and I'm using red kidney beans, but for all of these recipes, feel free to use whichever beans you like. I'm going to turn the beans through the onions, and once the beans are warmed up, I should mention that the beans have already been boiled, I'll add half a teaspoon of cumin, turn that through, then add a 1/4 cup of water to give the beans a little bit of moisture. Once the water has heated through, I'm going to take my potato masher and start mashing my beans. I tend to mash about 80% of the beans and leave 20% of them whole, just for a bit of texture, but you can mash yours completely if that's what you like. Once I've mashed the beans, I'm going to get my tortillas and pile on the mashed bean mixture onto the tortilla and spread this out. And I'm using my homemade 2-ingredient tortilla recipe for this, and I have a video for it which I'll link at the end of this video. I'm going to spread the bean mixture on both tortillas. If you're feeling too lazy to make the tortillas, you can also use bread, although I would highly recommend using the tortillas because it makes such a difference. Once I'm done spreading the bean mixture onto the tortilla, I'm going to place the bottom tortilla onto the pan and sprinkle cheese on top of it. I'm using mozzarella cheese here, but you can use whichever cheese you like. And once I'm done spreading the cheese, I'll place the second tortilla with the bean mixture on top and press it down so that the 2 tortillas can stick to each other. I'll let this cook until the cheese has melted. Cut this up into quarters and serve it alongside avocado. Moving on to lunch, I'm making a bean salad, and I have 1.5 cups of beans in my bowl, to which I'll add a cup of cooked rice, half a cup of onion that I soaked in hot water and salt to get rid of the bitterness, half a cup of cucumber, half a cup of yellow and red bell pepper all diced, and I'm using cannellini beans for this, but as I said earlier, you can use whichever beans you like. Then using 2 spoons, I'll toss everything to combine, and once everything is well combined, I'll add half an avocado to my mixture. The reason why I didn't add the avocado at first is because I didn't want it to get mushy while I was mixing the rest of the ingredients. I'll give this a light stir to incorporate the avocado, then I'll finish it off with a pinch of salt and it's that simple. Lunch is served. This is an easy and filling salad recipe that's equally as delicious, and it also keeps really well in the fridge because it doesn't have any salad dressing. For dinner, I'm making a coconut bean curry, and in my saucepan I have a tablespoon of cooking oil, and I'll start off by toasting my spices. I'm using black pepper, paprika, turmeric, and dhana jeera, which is a cumin coriander mix. I'm going to toast the spices on really low heat until they become nice and fragrant, and we're using low heat to make sure that the spices don't burn. Once they're nice and fragrant, I'll go in with my onion, and I'm using both red and spring onions, but this is optional. I'm just using what I had. I'll fry the onions until they're cooked, and at this point you can turn the heat up to high. Toss the onions in the oil and add a pinch of salt to help the onions soften and cook down. I'll cover my onions to give them time to cook down, and once they're cooked through, I'll take the lid off, add a splash of water to my saucepan to deglaze the pan, then I'll toss in my tomatoes. I then realized that I had forgotten to add my ginger and garlic, so I did that at this point, but ideally those were supposed to go in right after the onion. Then I added a glog of tomato paste, some hot water to soften the tomato paste, and some salt to help the tomatoes cook down. I turned this through, covered it, and after the tomatoes were cooked down, I added in my cauliflower. You can also substitute cauliflower for potatoes here. I turned the cauliflower through the sauce. Then I added some more water to help the cauliflower cook down and soften. I covered this after adding some salt, brought it to a boil, and gave the cauliflower time to cook down. Once the cauliflower was cooked through, I went in with my beans, turned them through this mixture, then added in my coconut milk, which is obviously what gives this dish the coconut taste, as well as my bell pepper. You guys know I like to add this last because I like them when they're a little bit crunchy. I gave everything a final stir before bringing it to a boil, then turning the heat down to a simmer. Once the sauce had simmered to my desired consistency, I went in with chopped dhania, turned this through everything, then turned the heat off. I served the coconut bean curry on top of some boiled rice. Moving on to the bonus dessert recipe, we are making chocolate mousse, but this recipe will only work if you have canned beans, since we'll be using the liquid that's usually inside of the can of beans, and this liquid is known as aquafaba, and it's not only found in beans, it's in any canned legumes that you may have. So once you open your can, you want to drain the liquid off and set it aside. You can keep this liquid in the fridge for 2 to 3 days, or you can freeze it to up to a month. And when you want to whip up the chocolate mousse, add the aquafaba to a bigger bowl and get your electric mixer and whip this up. And the reason why I'm saying electric mixer and not a whisk is because this takes forever to whip. It takes about 10 minutes. So if you were to whisk this, your hand might end up falling off in the process. Alternatively, if you don't have an electric mixer, add the aquafaba to a mason jar, put the lid on, then shake the jar until you get stiff peaks like I've just shown you there. Then I'll take my chocolate, and I used 6 of those tiny boxes of chocolate. I melted this in the microwave for 1 minute at 20-second intervals. Then I added the chocolate to the whipped aquafaba. I stirred the chocolate in. I then added a few strawberries to the chocolate mousse, but you can use whichever fruit you like. I also broke off a few sugarless biscuits, and these are going to give the mousse a really nice texture. The crunch from the biscuits against the soft, cloudy texture of the mousse creates a beautiful contrast. After mixing the biscuits in, I'm going to serve my mousse into a bowl and top it off with a few more strawberries. And that is it, you guys. 4 recipes made using beans. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.